Hey everybody, and thank you for watching another video. My name is Murge, and upon rewatching Better Call Saul, there's a certain phrase that really sticks out to me in the first season. We hear about it during the opening of season 3 when Jimmy's in jail.
Okay, but it was a simple Chicago Sunroof.
Then again during Jimmy's bingo meltdown in episode 10.
Quick question, who here knows what a Chicago Sunroof is?
And the last reference we get is when Chuck is on the sand during season 3 episode 5.
He defecated through a sunroof.
And that is the phrase Chicago Sunroof. The act of taking it through the sunroof of a car while in the state of Illinois.
It's a real thing. I didn't make it up. Not the first person to do it. There's a name for it.
And even though Jimmy did explain it in the aforementioned bingo meltdown, I thought I'd see if I could paint a picture of my own to reflect the events of what really happened with a little more detail and a lot more pictures. But before we get started, if you could leave a like on this video to support the channel, I'd appreciate it. And full disclaimer, this is not a real thing. This was just something that was made up for the show, so please do not get any ideas. And I'm looking at you.
Oh, me?
So in the early 90s, a young supple 32-year-old Jimmy McGill was just your average street hustler from his hometown of Cicero, Illinois, and he was just living his best life doing his slip and fall schemes and maybe even selling some drugs here and there. I don't know that part for certain, but I really wouldn't put it past Jimmy in the 90s. Or maybe he was selling beepers if his cell phone career is any indication.
And if you buy it from me with cash, it's completely untraceable.
But young Jimmy also had his own circle of known associates, among which was this one guy named Chet. And Chet happened to owe Jimmy some money. For what? Who could say? But me personally, I like to think that there was maybe a close relationship at one point with Chet, because instead of paying Jimmy back his money, he decided to sleep with his first wife, whose name we never find out, so let's just call her Kim Chi. But honestly, it doesn't even matter. Even Jimmy says it doesn't matter, so let's just move on past that, maybe a couple weeks after his first divorce. And during that time, Jimmy would be hanging out at a bar doing some day drinking. And after he's had a few, while on his way home, he spots Chet's car double parked in the Dairy Queen parking lot with the engine running. And how we know it was Chet's car is because it was a white BMW with all white interior.
BMW 7 Series with white leather interior.
And Jimmy in his drunken state decides to get his revenge on Chet by climbing on top of the car, squatting down, and well, giving him some soft serve.
Guy wanted some soft serve, I gave him some soft serve.
But what Jimmy didn't know is that inside that BMW, just behind the possibly illegal tints on the window, was Chet's two kids who had a literal front row seat to the shit show. And my god, could you imagine being a maybe 5 or 6 year old kid sitting in your dad's car waiting for ice cream when all of a sudden this pasty white ass just hovers above you, blocking out the sun like an eclipse, and the next thing you know there's just logs falling, or worse, a chocolate milk like substance that's just raining down on you and your siblings. And understandably so, Jimmy was arrested on the spot, and usually for his antics he was maybe looking at some disorderly conduct or maybe public intoxication, but the thing that Jimmy didn't know about Chet is that he was well connected, and one of those connections was to the district attorney, who was trying to charge him with indecent exposure and even have him registered as a sex offender. And had it not been for the legal counsel of his brother Chuck, Saul Goodman would have never been. It would have just been Jimmy McGill continuing to do his schemes in Cicero until he ends up dead or in jail. Which would have a crazy effect on the world of Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad, because let's just think about it. He'll never meet Kim in the mailroom, which means that he never gets her caught up in the game and leaving her to live a life as a HHM associate with her never realizing her true passion for criminal law. There would also be no Sandpiper settlement, which allows for Howard to continue running HHM with no conflict of interest with Jimmy. And I feel that with Chuck suffering from his electromagnetic hypersensitivity condition, he'd have no one that he can count on to help him out. And I feel that Chuck would be so ashamed of his condition that he would do as much as he can for as long as he can, but eventually he'd likely end up dead in his own home. But that's just me. He'd also never get mixed up with Tuco or Nacho, which dodges a whole lot of bullets in itself, no pun intended. And for the events of Breaking Bad, because he never meets Jesse or Walter when Badger gets arrested, that would be the beginning of the end for their meth empire. And then there was Gus, who after finishing construction on the lab would have Gale as his cook, and he would continue to do business with the cartel until he could find a new plan on how to get rid of the Salamancas along with Eladio, but that may be a video for a whole nother day. But this just goes to show that without Saul in the picture, things in the Breaking Bad universe just isn't the same. But that's just me. But now I want to hear from you guys. What do you think the Breaking Bad universe would be like without Saul in the picture? And more importantly, how serious of a charge do you think a Chicago Sunroof would be? Felony, misdemeanor, public indecency, whatever it is, let me know down below in the comments because I'm asking for a friend. But that'll do it for me on this video, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, my name is Murge. Later.